Today we are here interviewing Scott, and the title of today's interview is, Are you prepared for your first football media interview? So Scott, today I have just a few questions for you to help the athletes and parents to get their child prepared for their first interview. First question today is, why is interviewing an important topic to discuss for young athletes?
I think interviewing is an important topic to discuss because athletes will get interviewed throughout their high school and collegiate career, whether that's in the preseason, after a game, during the season. You might get a newspaper phone call, or maybe just that face-to-face interview right after the game. And the biggest thing about it is that coaches are so focused on the season and what they have to do there as far as how their kids are doing in the school setting, with the sport itself, game planning, that they don't really have the time to teach the proper interviewing skills. But this is huge, because if you go into an interview and you don't know what to expect, then you're going to get caught off guard and you might say something that you really shouldn't.
Our second question for today, what kind of questions should athletes be prepared to answer?
This is a big one right here. The questions that you should be prepared to answer is absolutely anything. If you think about it, the goal of media is threefold. One, you want to create a headline. Two, you want to get conversation flowing about that headline. And three, they want to make money. So the headline and conversation generate more money. So you got to think about it in that terms. So when they ask you questions, I remember as an athlete, they were always trying to get me to say something negative about the other team. They would try to get me to say something negative about even my own team. So the rule that I always suggest is, like, you got to take responsibility for the things that don't go well and pass praise for things that do go well. And a perfect example of this is, I remember one time we were playing our rival and they asked, you guys lost them the first time. What are your expectations the second time? I said, hey, they're a great team. We got to work harder because it's going to be a really tough game. And then you had an athlete on the other team get interviewed that same day, and he was asked the same question, and he said, we can't wait to beat them again. And then what does that create? It creates a headline. For your team, it creates bulletin board material, which you use as motivation. So that's what you want to watch. You want to watch what you're saying, because the questions that are being asked are to lead you to speak against someone rather than focus on the positivity that you really should.
What suggestions would you give to athletes or coaches when getting interviewed?
I think the biggest suggestion is like what I just said. You got to stay positive and be prepared. Be prepared for any type of question, and you don't have to answer right away. If they ask a question, you have a moment. You can take some time, think about how you want to answer that question. Do not just go right into it with your first emotional thought. You really got to think through the question, because you want to word it in a way that I like to say, be bland. Don't give them anything that the other team can post on a bulletin board. Don't give them anything that's headline news. Don't give them anything that could spark a conversation or controversy, because that's what they're looking for from you. Understand the questions that are asked are going to lead you in that direction, and you have to sway them back to being positive and being honestly boring when you answer those questions, because you don't want to create that type of material out there. Because here's the X factor that you don't know maybe. The college coaches that are recruiting you, the professional coaches that are looking at you, are also now probing all of your media and social media. So they're taking a look at how you answer these questions, because they're looking for a teammate, not someone who's going to bring down the team. So you really got to look and be accurate and thoughtful in how you answer your questions.